And then Anna, can you move us over to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, perfect. We have one last reminder that the information given in this presentation is not legal advice or legal opinion and should not be construed as such. Please consult with a qualified legal counsel as to fit your particular needs. All right, now that I got all the boring stuff out of the way, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker. Anna has worked for the credit union for 10 years and with the financial wellness team for 4. Anna is a certified counselor and says her favorite thing about working for the credit union and the financial wellness team is giving members proven solutions as they struggle through financial difficulties and challenge. Um, that is all, Anna. I won't go far, but the floor is now yours.
Thank you so much, Sutton. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So let's go ahead and get started. What are the objectives? Today, we will be talking about understanding what financial identity theft is. We're going to learn common ways identity theft occurs, recognizing warning signs early on, knowing how to protect yourself from financial theft, understanding what to do if it happens to you, how we can help as the credit union, and just other tools and resources for you. So let's start here. What is financial identity theft? That's when someone uses your personal or financial information without your permission, and they use that information to open credit accounts. They access bank accounts, file fraudulent tax returns, and make unauthorized purchases. So these thieves can steal things like your social security number, bank or card numbers, your date of birth, address, some tax or insurance information. And so they use these things like we just talked about, openings, loans and credit cards, and that's normally the most common thing that they use it for. But we're going to be talking about how to prevent all of that. And financial identity theft is not just about the money, it's also affects your credit, time, and emotional well-being. So let's go to our first poll question here. What do you think is the most common type of fraud? Is it A, tax fraud, B, credit card fraud, C, social security fraud, or do you think it's D, employment fraud?
Sarah, what do you think the correct answer is? Because I know I made this PowerPoint, or so what do you, what if you can't answer yes, but Sarah, what do you think the answer is?
I don't know the answer, but if I were to guess, I would say B, and majority of our attendees, 80%, also said B, credit card fraud, and 20% are saying social security fraud. I'm curious on what employment fraud is. I've never heard of that, so.
That would be like whenever they try to use your benefits.
Oh,
If
Yeah.
there's some special benefits that you get from a certain employer. Yeah, that, just that.
interesting.
Are we ready for the correct answer?
Yes.
Yes, so 80% of you guys are right. Credit card fraud. That is the most common type. And so let's talk about that. As you see on this report here, credit card fraud report by year. And so 2019, how many credit card fraud reports were there in the country? 277,739. And so we see that around COVID time, those numbers went up. And so I think that is very telling of people's situation and thieves wanting to, take credit from people for financial reasons that happened all in 2021, 2020. And let's move on here to 2025. So this identity theft and credit card fraud statistic paints a bleak picture. There were 748,555 reported cases of just identity theft in the country in 2025. Now, 323 1,459 of those were just credit card cases, and that was just for the first half of 2025. So imagine for all of 2025, that number would have been the highest from these previous years. So why financial identity theft matters? Financial loss. So even if you are reimbursed, your credit card or your bank account, if a thief got your information and got access to your accounts and took some money, even if you are reimbursed, the process is long and the money can be gone for weeks. So most financial institutions will normally investigate the case before reimbursing. And for a lot of us, we don't have, all the time in the world to wait for our money to come back to us because we have bills to pay. A lot of us live paycheck to paycheck. And so that is one of the main reasons why it's important to prevent damaged credit score, difficulty getting loans or housing. So this can cause a major roadblock in your life. Buying a house, renting an apartment, or getting a car could be a challenge. It's a time-consuming recovery process. Many victims spend over 100 hours cleaning up the mess. And finally, of course, it matters because your mental well-being is impacted. So what are some common types of financial identity? As we mentioned earlier, credit card fraud. There is bank account takeover, which we see that often as well. Loan and credit card fraud, tax identity theft, and employment or benefits fraud. So let's talk about which are most common versus most damaging. Okay. The most common by far is going to be thieves attempting to get your information, your personal information, for the use of opening a credit card or stealing your credit card information. Okay. While the most damaging, the most dangerous type of identity theft would be the new bank account takeover, because at this point they have your social security and can cause a whole lot of damage by acquiring loans, credit cards. They can also open utility services, and this can take months, if not years, to fully fix. Now, tax identity theft is one that is not as common, but the recovery process is lengthy and it would mostly be done through the IRS, which sounds very tedious. And so with tax season around the corner, that is something that we're going to talk about here in a little bit too. Let's go on to our second poll question. What age group is most likely to fall victim to identity theft? Is it A, 60 to 70-year-olds? Is it B, 20 to 29-year-olds? C, 30 to 39-year-olds? Or is it D, 40 to 50-year-olds? Who do you think is more susceptible?
I'm gonna say A personally, just because I think the older age demographic usually is more susceptible. I've heard some stories from branch members and from our fraud team that they're usually the primary targets, but I think anybody is really vulnerable, honestly.
Right.
Um,
Especially with all the use of like online and online purchases, doing everything online,
mhm.
everything electronically around this time.
Yeah.
Sutton, what do you
It's
think?
I also know the answer to this one, and so I was not pleasantly, I was surprised by the correct answer. So that's all I'm gonna say.
hmm
Sarah,
What
what
a
are attendees saying?
yeah.
76% are saying A, 60 to 70-year-olds. 12% are saying B, 20 to 29-year-olds, and another 12% are saying D, 40 to 50-year-olds. I will say we went over some marketing metrics last week,
hmm
and a few different things that we went over is like what do members care about or what's important to them,
hmm
and every single age demographic said like fraud or safety. So that's a concern for not only this the main age group but all of the age
hmm
groups. So pretty interesting. But yeah,
Right, right.
majority 78% right now are saying A. So enlighten us, please, ladies.
So I actually made this whole presentation for my target audience to be, the older generation, because I feel like you said we have a lot of cases where our older generation members are having issues with phishing and spoofing, which we'll talk about what those terms mean here in a little bit. But the correct answer is actually C, 30 to 39. So right here,
Mm,
yeah, so 30 to 39-year-olds are highly susceptible to financial identity theft due to their large active digital footprints and major life milestones, such as buying homes, getting married, advancing in their careers. So their extensive use of online apps and services and frequent sharing of personal information combined with like higher credit access provide more opportunities for fraud. So we're online a lot more. A lot more, like I said. Honestly, something that I was in that meeting that you were into, that they were talking about all these statistics. And so they were saying how our generation doesn't even carry a physical debit, credit, or debit card anymore. And I'm that person. We were talking about how Walmart doesn't do tap anymore because that's how I pay.
mhm,
Everything's on my phone, which is in a way very dangerous, because if I was to lose my phone, or if I was to click on some kind of link, they'd get a hold of everything.
mhm.
But yeah, I've gone to Walmart and have several times and have had to leave my groceries there and go back home because I don't
Oh
have my
gosh.
cards on me. So you guys, whoever is out there, 30 to 39-year-olds, we got to do better. Let's move on to our next slide here. So how identity thieves get your information. As I mentioned just a few seconds ago, phishing emails or text. So those are the emails you might get that will say something like your account is locked, click here, or fake delivery or refund text. I know that I've received them. I've received text messages from Amazon saying click here to get your order, or any kind of email or text that is pressuring you to do something. That's phishing. Fake websites or phone calls called spoofing. So spoofing is when attackers disguise themselves as a trusted source. Some of us have received fake phone calls from places. I've received fake phone calls from insurance companies. Do not call them back. Okay. Hey, if you hang up, do not call that number back. Calling that same phone number, might get you right back to the fraudster. So you want to avoid that. You want to avoid if they sent you a website for you to look into via email. You also want to avoid clicking on that link. Just hover your mouse over, try to read where that website is directing you to. So be very careful with those things. There's data breachers. Companies get hacked and your info is exposed. I've received insurance letters in the mail advising me about my information potentially being stolen because there was a major data breach. And so they're informing me of that and to beware of that and how to be compensated in case my information was stolen and used. I don't know if anybody else has received those. Have you seen those before, Sarah and Sutton?
Yeah, I
I know
have.
I've gotten a few, and I get one for myself. I've gotten one for myself, my husband, and my son. So all of our information was potentially stolen in a data breach. Obviously, the stolen wallets or mail. Public Wi-Fi hacking. So avoid using unsecured Wi-Fi at like cafes, airports, hotels. Thieves can easily intercept any data you send. Okay. Social media oversharing. That's another one. Um, Giving out too much personal information on social media. And then one that's not on here, I didn't add that one, but there's also card skimming. Okay, so that's when devices are placed on gas pumps ATMs or other payment terminals for your card number to get copied as you're tapping or swiping your card. And I know we've seen this on the news, to be careful of that. I know I've seen like the TikTok videos where somebody's at the pump and they're like removing this device and just warning everybody. So that's unfortunately, I feel like there's so much to be looking out for these days, but we're going to talk about how to prevent all of that.
Wait, Anna, can I add one actually that I've
Yes.
seen on
Yes.
social
Tell me.
media before? And
Mm-hmm.
it's sad given our like industry. Well, if you work for the airline, but a lot of I've seen people say stay away from like, like the charging stations they'll have at airports, to
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
use those public charging stations because thieves will also um, get your information that way, which is
Really?
scary because you're like, I just need to charge my
We
phone, but
use
like,
those all the time,
I
right?
know. It's like there's no one's safe. No one's safe. But that's an interesting one. So I always try to
I hadn't
stay
heard
away.
about that one.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it before on the news and stuff. So that's an interesting one.
Well, now
Watch
we know
out,
we
be
got to buy
careful.
those little portable chargers that you can
Yeah.
just take with you.
Yeah. So just food for thought.
So let's move forward and put our mind at ease with how we can prevent all of this. So, what we're going to watch out for: urgent messages, act now, do this now. And everyone, sometimes we think that our older generation gets easily tricked into this, but I've had friends my age or younger get like a phone call and letting them know that, the government is giving them a call and they owe this money. And if they don't pay this or go buy a gift card, um, and mail it to this address, then something can happen. So anything that is going to be pressuring you is 9 times out of 10 not legit. Okay. Anything that's going to be requesting your password or your PIN number, that never should happen unless you're like obviously on, for example, the American Airlines Credit Union app, obviously, right? You're going to need your password and things like that. But whenever, if you get, you'll never get a phone call from the credit union asking you to give us a password or a PIN. So beware of things like that. Anything that's misspelled in an email or just a link that looks suspicious. I know I've received those too, where something is spelled wrong, and I'm just like, how does a legitimate large company like yourself misspell something? And it's because it's spoofing. Unexpected price or refund offers. Now you would think that this is the easiest one to spot because like how do you just win something and you just click here and you got this amazing prize. I've actually fallen for that, and that was with the Starbucks gift card. And so shame on me. They got me. They got me. Um, like I said, it happens to everybody. Let's just learn and move on. And yeah, let's go on to questions. Anybody have any questions for us, Sutton? Sarah?
Um, Only one. Is there a number or is there a way to meet with a fraud representative at the credit union? Is there a way that our members could do that?
Yes. So if you go to our American Airlines Credit Union website and in the search bar, just type in fraud, it'll pull up a whole page with a bunch of information and the direct phone number and hours to the department that can help you with that. But in a minute, I'll also provide some really good resources that aren't just for the credit union, if that was to happen.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are
Yeah.
we good to go next? Yeah.
Yes. That's all. Thank you.
Mhm. So, warning signs of identity theft, unrecognized charges, credit report inquiries that you did not authorize. In a minute, we're going to talk about looking at your credit report, how you can pull it. Credit report inquiries. So, what that means is how many times, and it's recorded on your credit report, how many times you gave your social away to apply for a loan or a credit card or anything like that. And so anytime that you apply for something, even if you get declined, it'll show on your credit report. Um, And so if you notice on your credit report, normally on the report at the very bottom, it'll show you the inquiries, who you gave your social to apply for something and what kind of account you were applying for. So it's very important for you to take a look at those and make sure that it was you who did that inquiry. Bills or accounts that you don't recognize, calls from debt collectors for unknown debts, and a tax return rejected because one was already filed. That one is scary. So, what are some everyday habits? Using strong and unique passwords. You don't want to use the same password for every single account that you have, because if one hacker is able to get that password, they're obviously going to be able to log into everything else. You want something that is not going to be easy, your date of birth, your address. Um, Also, the enabling multi-factor authentication, lock devices with passcodes and biometrics, shred sensitive documents, and once again, avoid public Wi-Fi for financial tasks. So if you have to do anything like your income tax that's coming up, and if you're a person that does that online yourself, make sure that you're using a secured Wi-Fi that's backed by a password to do that kind of stuff. Don't go sit at McDonald's or Starbucks trying to file your income tax. You never know. And like I said, so tax season is upon us, and it's a prime time for fraudster to exploit unsuspecting taxpayers. So scammers use identity theft, phishing schemes, and fake tax preparers to steal refunds or personal financial information. So protect yourself by filing early. The sooner you file, the less times fraudsters have to use your information for fraudulent filings. Use secure filing methods, a secure Wi-Fi, like I just said, and watch out for phishing scams. Like I mentioned earlier, also, the IRS is never going to call or text you or email you. They always mail important documentation.
And I have a quick
Mhm.
question that we got
Yes.
since we're on the topic.
Mhm.
Somebody asked, is it safe to save passwords in a Microsoft program or on your computer or laptop?
No, I would not do that.
Okay,
No,
good
because
to
if
know.
they get access to anything, it's almost insane to me how these fraudsters are so good at stealing information and all the programs they could get into. So no, that's definitely not a good idea. If you're in an office, you definitely don't want to write it down anywhere either. Maybe if you're home and you have some kind of journal or something that you can have in a safe place, maybe there if you're a person like me who's very forgetful, but definitely not on like your notes on your iPhone or anything like that. That's probably not a good idea. Let's move on to our next slide. So, monitoring and prevention tools. Check your bank and credit card statements regularly. I cannot stress enough how important this is. And I've been preaching this since I started working at the credit union. Just make it a habit to every other day, if not every day. I do it every day, but if not every other day, just log onto the app, check your bank account, check your transactions, check your credit card transactions as well. So I recently actually met with a member, and this lady, she had gotten a credit card for the first time. And so she knew that she had made a few charges on there. And a few months later, after getting her statements, and not really reviewing them as she should have, she started noticing that the minimum payment on her credit card that the credit union was requiring was very high. And so she kind of started getting suspicious of that. And when she started reviewing her credit card statements, she noticed that her balance was very high. It was almost at $5,000, which she knew she hadn't charged that. Well, come to find out, her credit card information had been stolen for like 4 months, and she didn't ever pay attention to her credit card statements. And there was so many transactions that were done on there that weren't done by her. And so, of course, I got her over to our fraud department, to our credit card department to file, all kinds of disputes and claims on the transactions. And so they were able to help her. The problem is now that, like I mentioned earlier, reimbursing doesn't happen immediately on the spot. That's going to take several weeks, and that's pretty much at any financial institution. And so the problem with that now was that it just becomes a whole cycle, because she was going to have to wait about a month or two before getting all that money back, right, on her credit card, being reimbursed for those transactions that she didn't do. And in the meantime, for that month or two, she was going to have to pay that minimum payment, that high minimum payment on the credit card for those transactions, because if she didn't, then that would affect her credit score. And yes, there's things that we could do to change, that reporting from her on her credit score. But once again, it's just a lengthy cycle and just a long process. So let's work on actually looking at these things often so that we can immediately catch something and make a change. Review credit reports annually, free annually. You can visit annualcreditreport.com. I'll repeat that, annualcreditreport.com, for a free credit report yearly. So this is the only federally mandated website where you can access your free credit report. Okay, it's a legitimate website that we've used, our members use. On this credit report, like I was talking about earlier, you want to make sure that all the accounts that are open are yours. At the bottom of the report, you'll have all the inquiries that we talked about. You want to make sure that those were done by you. Set up account alerts. That's something that you can do through any app for any financial institution that you're banking with. Set up just extra alerts to text you if there's a change, of a transaction was made, if a transfer was made, and whatnot. And then also consider a credit freeze if high risk, if you're my age and are at a higher risk apparently of getting your identity stolen. So you can freeze your credit free with all three credit agencies. Let's move on to our next slide. What to do if identity theft happens? You want to act quickly and follow this checklist. So contact affected financial institutions, change passwords and secure accounts, place fraud alert or a credit freeze, which we just mentioned. You want to document everything, okay? Now, to place a fraud alert or credit freeze with the credit agencies, if you want more information on that, just let Sarah and Sutton know via email after this webinar, and I can send you guys the phone numbers and the direct links to freeze your credit report in case any of this happened with all three of the major credit agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So I have that information if you guys needed it after this. So document everything. Take note of every person you're talking to, any company you're talking to. Trust me, every place that you call is going to give you possibly new information that you had no clue about happening to your account. It happens all the time. Report to identitytheft.gov. If you file a report with them, they'll ask you questions and help create a plan to recover in case you need that extra assistance. So that's a really good resource. File a police report if required, especially if you know that your social security number has been compromised. Okay. Keep copies of all communication. If for any reason you know that you had that tax fraud has happened to you, what you would need to file is a form, an IRS form 14039. Okay, 14039. That's the IRS form. Um, Also know that you will never receive, once again, phone calls or texts from the IRS. Let's move on to our next slide here. So tools and resources. If you ever need additional help, feel free to please contact my department, Financial Wellness. We are a total of 6 counselors that are here for you. Our website is financialwellness.aacreditunion.org. You can find a lot of our information there. You can also see what webinars we have coming up. You can, like I said, contact us to schedule an appointment. We have the navigator.aacreditunion.org, which is a website that is linked through our American Airlines Credit Union page. On the navigator, there are a lot of very helpful articles and short clips that you guys can watch on your own time just to learn all kinds of new things. We have our online banking app. Something that I don't think I remember mentioning, but something that is very helpful on banking apps these days is when you lose your card or when you see a suspicious transaction that wasn't you, you can easily go onto the banking app and shut down your debit card or your credit card. It's easy, super easy to just go to your cards and close that card so whoever has it doesn't have access to it anymore. You can also access your credit score on our Savvy Money and our online banking. Now, with accessing your credit score, that's a lot different than having access to your credit report, okay? Because the credit score is going to just give you obviously the score and the accounts that you have and if you're paying them on time or not. But the credit report is going to be a lot more detailed. So if you're wanting to use if you're wanting to make sure that everything on your credit is legit, then you want your credit report, not just your credit score. And you'll want to go to the website that I mentioned earlier to get that. Moving on to our next slide, here is our phone number, 833-346-9355, our email as well if you want to contact my department. Like I said, we are a total of 6 certified credit union financial counselors. Not only can we sit down and help you out in case financial identity theft did happen to you, but we also do a lot of other things in educating our members and helping them reach their financial goals. We're experts in bruised credit situations, financial indebtedness solutions assistance, continuous accountability support and guidance. So I have a lot of my members that I call and I make sure that they're not overspending, that they're on budget. Educational seminars and webinars throughout the year, just like we're doing right now. We have several of them throughout the year. So visit our website so that you can take a look at those. And I also wanted to throw out there, feel comfortable to talk to us. All of us counselors in this department have been through all kinds of things, debt, credit issues. We've had it all happen to us. So don't think we're some perfect experts. We're just like you and we want to help. So please reach out to us if you need us. And so with that being said, that is the end of my part of the presentation, and I'll hand this over to you ladies.
Thank you, Anna. So just a couple of quick announcements before we get to our last minute questions, and then we can wrap it up. But for those on the call who aren't already members and who would like to start their member journey today, you can easily do so by scanning that QR code and using promo code BD4412 at the end of your application. And that code is going to take care of the initial new member deposit of $6, so you have nothing to lose. Plus, once you're a member, you're always a member. So that means if you decide to take another job opportunity outside the air transportation industry, you can still retain those credit union benefits. And you get to share the benefits with your family members, permanent household members, and coworkers who are eligible to join. And whenever you refer them, you both get $25 up to 10 referrals. And right now, to the end of March, if you are an American Airlines or Envoy Air employee, whenever you become a member through their internet site, so JetNet or My Envoy Air, you'll receive a $25 new member bonus and an a chance to win $1,000 cash for each of those employee groups. So definitely take advantage if you are not a member already, so you can take advantage of all of our member benefits. And now, Anna, next slide, please. I'm going to discuss a few different current offers we have from now to the end of March. So if you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to our offers page on our website. And a few that I'll mention today is you can save up to 0.5% annual percentage rate on your next auto loan. You can enjoy a balance transfer promo rate of 1.90 annual percentage rate for 9 months whenever you open a new Visa or Visa Signature consumer credit card. And whenever you enroll in online statements by the end of March, you'll be entered for a chance to win $1,000. Also, another one I noticed today was you can get a 10% off discount whenever you file with TurboTax. So if you are using TurboTax, definitely check that out, and be sure to check out all of our details on our website for more details on those promotions. Next, Anna, I think there's a few more questions we had in the chat that we can get to. Going back to the passwords, is there a program or that saves one universal password for everything?
Not that I know of. And
No, I don't know of anything either. What about like password managers? Because on your phone or on like
hmm,
your browser, Google,
hmm,
I think it's like a Google password manager. Are those
yeah.
okay to use?
I've
Um,
seen them and I've come across them asking me, "Do you want to save this password?" And I honestly always just click no. I don't trust it. Personally, I don't. How do you feel about those?
I I sometimes I use them just because it's pretty
Mhm.
convenient for me, but also on your phone, I know that you have your own password manager app.
Mhm.
And what I do like about it is that it shows you like if there's any if like if the password's been compromised, or
Mhm.
if it's like a repeating one, something like that. Like
Mhm.
it's helpful, but it is kind of scary. Like if someone were to hack me, like they're gonna have all my passwords to
Mhm.
everything. So it is
Right.
kind of tricky.
Or
Maybe,
if you were to lose your phone and
right.
your code is easy access, then they log in, so now they have access to everything. That's what I always think about, and I'm so good at losing my phone all the time, so
Yeah.
not good for me.
Yeah, I know. We need to find a better, more secure way for passwords. Another question that just came in is the new budget hub on the online banking secure with the third party? It says you have to link your account.
Yes, for sure. I have that
Yes.
done myself through the app, and that is very secure. That is completely different. All of that has been revised by the credit union, by I'm sure our IT department, and so all of
Mhm.
that is legit and ready for you guys to use without worrying about that.
Yes, yes, for sure. I think the only hiccups they've been having is with Fidelity, so it may have some troubles if you're trying to link that, but they're working on resolving that. But
Mm.
other than that, I think it's really good to go. And we actually went over it this morning. We had a
Mhm.
lot of good feedback from that.
Awesome.
Let's see, one more question I saw. How often should someone check their credit report?
I would say every few months, maybe once a quarter. They say once a year, but I personally would do it more often than that. Because like this lady, the story that I just told you guys about my member, um, I would hate for that to be going on for months and months, and then I find out later, and now it's just a whole ordeal that I have to fix. So I would just check it 2, 3, 4 times a year.
And somebody said, just a comment, create a note in your phone that is not linked to any app with all your passwords.
Okay.
You could do that if people don't lose
Mhm.
their phone, like us, Anna.
Yeah, I know.
Another question, how do you feel about using sites like Credit Karma?
Those are legit. I don't see anything wrong with using Credit Karma at all. And you'll know when a website is legit. you'll want to scroll all the way to the bottom and make sure, that it what is it, Sarah, all the small print at the bottom of pages and um
Disclosures.
the disclosures, you'll want to look at the description on the hyperlink or whatever. Yeah, no, those are safe to use. It's whenever you receive emails or random text asking you to log into things or things
Mhm.
like that. Not so much like promos.
Yeah, agree.
Once again, when things are pressuring you to act now, to log
Yes.
in, to share your password, your PIN, all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, urgency is always like the biggest red flag for me. Like, do this
Mm-hmm.
now. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, let's see. I think there's another question here. Can you explain when it makes sense to place a fraud alert versus a credit freeze?
Alert, I would place an alert if you lost your ID. If you lost your wallet and you had your ID in there and you had your social security card in there, that's when I would place an alert so that you can get notified if anything shows up. An actual credit freeze I would do if something has already happened, so that it doesn't continue to happen. With credit freezes, something that I've ran into with members is that maybe months ago or years ago something happened, and so they froze their credit and never went back to after everything has been resolved, they never went back to unfreeze it. And so then down the road they're trying to apply for a loan or something, and when you're trying to do that and you already placed a freeze, um the the person that you're applying with is going to have a hard time, or not going to have a hard time, is not going to be able to even look at your credit score or report in order to help you with whatever it is you're applying for. So just make sure that if you're doing a freeze, it's because something actually happened, you're working on it, you resolved it, and then don't forget to unfreeze it if you need to. But yeah, alerts are beneficial when you think or you don't feel comfortable or you feel like you lost some information that could be used.
Ready. Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Anna. I'm not seeing any more questions here, so I'll close it out. But if anyone has any questions or if you want to connect with our fraud team, definitely let us know on that survey that you should be receiving in about 15 minutes. And we'll definitely connect you guys and they'll follow up early next week. Be sure to check out next month's webinars and topic lineups for next month on our website at aacreditunion.org/events. Stay connected with us on social media, follow us on Instagram and X, and be sure to like and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channels. I think occasionally we post some financial tips, so you might be able to check out some fraud tips that we have there. Um, and on our YouTube channels, you can watch previously recorded webinars just like this one. But on behalf of Anna, Sutton, myself, and the entire credit union team, we truly appreciate you guys tuning in today. Have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. Please stay safe and warm out there. Panel, any last words before we close out?
No, Sarah, I just want to thank everybody for attending today, and hopefully you got some helpful information out of this. And please keep financial wellness in mind. If anything happens, don't panic. We can help you out.